Welcome to part 2 of creative ways to bust through genealogy brick walls. Let's go ahead and jump right in. Another one of my pro tips for getting in touch with your brick wall ancestors is to actually visit the area where you lost them. I've done this, and I don't know, it's just a really good way to sort of walk a mile in their shoes. And also you're going to see things like street names, maybe little stores that have your last name, churches. A lot of times will have the last name, or a cemetery will have the last name that you're looking for. Also visit those cemeteries, because sometimes you'll see, like, for example, we have a cemetery in my family where we only have 3 or 4 grave markers of people I'm related to. But when you go there, you notice there are some what looks like unmarked graves right next to them. So I'm thinking, maybe some of these people whose graves I've never found are actually buried here in these unmarked graves. So, I mean, that's just one example though. Visit the area. But one thing you want to do first is do some preliminary research. See if there's a historical society you can visit, shoot them an email or give them a call. Let them know you're coming. They may be able to pull some information for you. The same with a local library. A lot of times the libraries will have a genealogy room or genealogy section. You can email the reference librarian and tell them you're coming, you're looking for information about this family. And depending on how busy the library is, sometimes they can help you. They might even have like a handwritten file in their room about your family, just from, because they've been doing this for ages and ages and ages. So there are things like that you can do when you're visiting your ancestral home, that will help you walk a mile in their shoes and might help you break through brick walls. All right, now this is the one that just fills me personally with fear. But a lot of people swear by this, so I'm going to go ahead and say look for living relatives. Now, a lot of times it's easiest to look for living relatives who are also family historians. So you can go on Ancestry and see other people that are researching your family. Or you can go on message boards on Facebook. Facebook has tons of family related groups now. Or you can just search your family name and kind of the general area where they came from and family reunion online, things like that, and find family historians. But what some people swear by is finding people on Facebook who may not be, the family historian. So I'm going to let you, run with that or not. But a lot of times somebody they might have the family Bible, but they're just not that interested in genealogy. So I have just heard like these crazy kind of serendipitous stories of people reaching out to somebody online, sending a very respectful and very like privacy respecting message to say, hey, we are related. I noticed that your grandpa was this person. I was wondering if you had more information. And that person will come back and say, oh yeah, I have his family Bible. Do you want it? Or I have all these family pictures. Do you want to see them? Or these letters? Things like that. So that people have success with this, especially, finding non-family historians who may have a treasure trove, but just they don't know what to do with it all. So a couple things I will caution you. Just be very respectful of people's privacy. Do not bother them, and don't just be creepy. Don't be creepy about it. Nobody wants to be found. Like, I don't mind being found because I'm a family historian and I love it. But if somebody found me for some other reason and were creepy and pushy about it, I really wouldn't appreciate that. So this is the one, like I said, that kind of fills me with fear, but sometimes it generates great results. All right, so I'm going to palate cleanse the scary tip with my favorite tip, which is write a blog post about it. And when I say blog post, I mean literally a blog post that lives on the internet forever until you decide to take it down. What I do not mean is a Facebook post or a post on Twitter or a post on a message board or something that you don't really control. All right, so why a blog post? Well, first of all, blog posts can be found using a search engine. Something like Facebook or Twitter, those things disappear so quickly. And you probably won't find them doing a search engine. So say that you are really looking into your brick wall family and you write a blog post about them on a website like WordPress.com, which is a free blogging platform, and I do recommend it. Well, you may not get any takers. But then 5 years later, somebody might be searching your same family and be searching online, this information, find your blog post and give you the missing piece, or maybe you give them the missing piece. So a blog post is just a really powerful way to connect with other people who are potentially in your family and can potentially help you bust through that brick wall. My next tip is more putting technology to work for you, and that is to set up search alerts. So for example, on Google, you can set up a search alert for a key term. For example, say your ancestor's name is Nebuchadnezzar Butterworth. So you could set up a search term, and every time something new appears on the internet that Google can search with the name Nebuchadnezzar Butterworth, then that will come to your inbox, or you can check it in your RSS feed if you're into that. So yeah, that can be really, really helpful. Another place I would recommend putting a search alert would be eBay. A lot of people put interesting things on eBay. You might find an old sampler that was signed by your grandmother, Ludmilla Butterworth, whatever their name is. And also the reason I'm using kind of weird names is because if your ancestor's name was John Smith, then your search alert is just going to be crazy. So these are a lot of times more helpful for people with weird names, or also places with weird names. So if your ancestors came from Blacklick, Virginia, well, Blacklick, Virginia may not get a ton of, new things in Google every day about it. On the other hand, if they came from Chicago, Illinois, and you do a search alert for Chicago, Illinois, well, you're just going to get overwhelmed with information. So that is just something that you kind of have to play with and see, like, am I overwhelming myself, or if, is my ancestor Nebuchadnezzar Butterworth, and he's going to be really easy to find if something new pops up about him online. Also, I realize this is not always self-explanatory, so I'm also going to do a blog post over on genealogytechnology.com about this, and I will include a link to that and how to set up these search alerts in the notes for this video. And last but not least, chase every little clue. So what I mean by this is, if you find anything kind of weird or different about your ancestor and you're just having, the most trouble finding them, they're your brick wall, then use those weird little things to your advantage. For example, I have an ancestor who was a wagon maker. To me, that's pretty interesting, but also I could read up on the history of wagon makers and maybe, realize that they were itinerant and a lot of them followed the mining industry. And I'm just making stuff up now, but that's something I could seize on. Or maybe you find your ancestor in a newspaper article about, getting injured on the job, which is something that did happen to that family in the timber industry, which is a very dangerous industry, by the way. Well, that ended up going to, I believe, the Tennessee Supreme Court. I believe it was the state Supreme Court, not the U.S. Supreme Court. But yeah, so I ended up being able to find a really interesting, court case about this family, and that, could have helped me with a brick wall. So just weird little things that you find like that, anything that's out of the ordinary, anything that not, he was a farmer, just seize on that and try to figure out if maybe there's going to be a record about your family member due to that weird little clue or idiosyncrasy that you find about your family member. All right, guys, that's it for the creative ways to bust through brick walls. Please let me know if any of these have given you a good idea, or even better, helped you bust through a brick wall. I would be so gratified to know that I could help you with something like that. This has been Jennifer with Genealogy Technology. I really appreciate it if you would like this video and subscribe to my channel. That helps me make more videos like this. So thank you so much.